everybody. My name is Mylena Dominguez. I'm one of the dietitians at El Rio Health Center. This is my helper, Annie Lim.
Hi.
And today we're going to be making black bean brownies. As you may know, February is Heart Health Month. So that's why we decided to make a heart healthy recipe. And at the same time, it's delicious and yummy. And since Valentine's is coming up, what a better treat? Chocolate and a heart healthy treat at the same time. So you can find a link to the recipe. We're gonna post that on the bottom of the video. And if you're not familiar with the website Cooking Matters, have great recipes for kids and for adults as well, for the whole family, and they're budget friendly as well. So that recipe is posted there. So for this, we're gonna start baking the brownies because they take about, well, according to the recipe, you need to bake it for about 30 minutes. But that's when you use a pan like this. So typically you use a pan like this, right? You put some oil, put the batter, bake it, and then you cut it into squares. Another option will be use like this type of a mold or like a muffin baking trays. So that will be like individual brownie. Today, because we happen to have this heart-shaped mold, we're gonna be using this. So hopefully our brownies come out with the shape of a heart. So first we're gonna start with black beans. So we're gonna use one 15-ounce can of beans, and we're gonna rinse it off. But first we need to drain the broth that comes with it. So Annalyn is gonna be helping me to do that. So you can just pour everything in there so we can remove all the liquid. And just be careful with your fingers because that's really sharp. So I can help you. It's a little stuck in there. So this is a great recipe for kids to be involved in. Actually any recipe is great to start getting kids interested in cooking. So of course, Annalyn had a little challenging time because it has tiny hands, but maybe for another older kid will be easier. So you can adjust the task that you ask your kid to do to help out. So that way they'll be more open maybe to try new things when they're involved in the cooking. So we're gonna make sure all the liquid, is strained. So if you're gonna help me with that, so you can just shake it. And then you can rinse the beans or not. The recipe calls for rinse beans, but in this case, I'm just gonna leave it like that. And the recipe asks you to, okay, I think that's good. It asks you to, with a masher, mash the beans. If you don't have a blender, I think that will be a great choice. In this case, we're gonna be using a blender, or if you have a food processing machine, you can use that as well. So right now we're gonna be pouring those beans into the cup of the blender. And as I said, if you don't have a blender, you can put it in a bowl, a big bowl, and with a masher, just mash the beans really well. So now we're gonna be using eggs. The recipe calls for 3 large eggs. So for a kid that would like to do this, they can, also welcome to help. Annalyn doesn't like cracking eggs. She doesn't like her hands dirty. So I'm gonna be helping with that, right? We are also gonna be using cocoa powder, brown sugar, olive oil to make it heart healthy. And you can add chocolate chips to make it more like a dessert, like more like a treat. And you can add nuts. In this case, we chose walnuts because walnuts are full of really good fats for your heart. They're full of omega-3s. So that's why we chose this. But you can use any nut you have at home or you like. Pecans, pistachios, almonds, any nut you like. Of course, if there's a nut allergy, skip the nuts, and you can only use chocolate chips. You can use peanut butter chips. or just skip the chips and nuts. The brownies on its own, they're delicious. So now I'm gonna be cracking the eggs. So always when you crack eggs, make sure you do it in a bowl. That don't do it directly on the blender or the bowl if you're using when you have the beans, because some shells may fall into the on the container. It might be harder to remove. So I'm just cracking my eggs, and then in the meantime, Annalyn is gonna be helping me to measure 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder. So cooking with kids, it's a great opportunity as well to review math, right? In this case, Annalyn is learning fractions. So she can learn, kids can start looking at the fractions like 1/3, 1/4, and visualizing everything might help them to grasp the concept better. So can you get the 1/3 of a cup? Perfect. And then we're gonna get 1/3 of a cup of the cocoa powder and put it in the blender. The whole cup. So remember how we measure something that is dry?
Yeah, you put it in a bowl.
Well, you can do it directly here. So you do it here. Remember with the knife. Perfect. So what we're doing right now, we want to make measurements, like accurate measurements for baking. Because when you're cooking other dishes, you don't really need to measure everything by the dot. But when you're baking, you want to stick closer to where the recipe tells you. Otherwise, it might alter the texture. So Annalyn is adding the cocoa powder. Now, thank you. Yeah. Now we're gonna grab the cup that the half a cup, right? Half cup, perfect. And we're gonna be adding the half a cup of brown sugar. Okay, so you fill it up, perfect. So when we're using brown sugar, because it's not as compact as white sugar, what you want to do is get your sugar. Can you give me a second? And then you're gonna compact it.
Like that?
Yes, make sure it's really compact. There you go. So that's an accurate measurement. And now we're gonna scrape it off. Remember, scraping it off with the knife, right? You scrape off. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, but as close as you can get. Now we're gonna add it to the blender. Right? Perfect. Now we're gonna be adding vanilla extract. So we're gonna be using 1 teaspoon. So same concept, kids can start learning about measurement. So, perfect, 1 teaspoon. So we're gonna be measuring it and pouring into the blender. And before we started putting the ingredients together, I set my oven at 350 degrees. So that way when we have the mixture ready, it's ready to pop in the oven. Perfect. We have 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Great. And now we're gonna be adding oil. So the recipe calls for canola oil. Again, heart health, so I'm trying to use olive oil. Canola oil is also perfectly okay. It's also heart health. So we're gonna be adding 3 tablespoons. Can you find the tablespoon for me? Thank you. And I can help you because that's gonna, yes, perfect. So you wanna put it there. And can you help me count?
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. So now we have our oil. And finally, we're gonna be adding our eggs. So we're gonna add the eggs.
Yeah.
Just carefully.
I see crack there.
Oh yeah, see that, good eye. See, that's why it's really important to crack your eggs in a bowl, because Annalyn, so we have some eggshells that otherwise will be going directly into a brownie, and it's not gonna be yummy and delicious to bite on a piece of eggshell, right?
That's gonna be in one of the brownies.
Yeah, that's not gonna be yummy. Perfect. All right. So as I said, we're gonna be adding some nuts. Annalyn is gonna be helping us to chop these nuts while I blend this.
Be noisy.
Yeah, so we're gonna make a little noise. And we're gonna be blending this. Okay, so there might be some dry spots on the side, so I'm just gonna be scraping out. And then blend one more time. Now, so if you were using a bowl, you match your beans, you mix your dry ingredients and then mix it with the eggs and the the mashed beans. You could add, once you make sure everything is mixed, you add your nuts and chocolate chips. Because these molds are pretty small, what I'm gonna be doing is just pouring it directly into the molds. And then Annalyn is gonna help me to put some chocolate chips and some nuts as well.
Stop shopping.
Okay, so now there we go. And I think that's good enough. Move this other way, sorry. All right. So you can pick the small pieces and we can start decorating. You want to just put a few. I'm going to do the chocolate chips, right?
Should I get the chocolate chip?
Okay, we can switch. There you go. So if you are using one of these type of baking pans, metal one, glass one, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same. But one tip I learned is putting a little bit of wax paper on the bottom and on the edges, so that way your brownies won't stick. I've seen also some brownie molds. If you have those, ideal also. Okay, so I think we are ready to bake this. So now we're gonna pop into our 350-degree oven.
And then we'll wait.
And this will bake for about 15 minutes. If it was something like this, will be more around 20 to 30 minutes. So I think I can smell the brownies. Can you?
Yeah.
Let's check them. I think they might be ready. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh my God. Annalyn just brought a really important point. You want to say what it is?
Wash your hands before cooking.
Yes. Very important. Before start cooking, wash your hands. Right? I forgot to say. Thank you for pointing that out. It's really important to wash your hands for how many seconds?
20.
20 seconds. Great. All right, so we're gonna check those brownies. I think they're almost ready.
5. Oh, we can still see those.
All right, so
Voila.
here they are. They might be on the little softer side. Yes, I think they're ready. So if you like the kind of moist, really soft consistency, I think we baked it for about 15 minutes, I will say. So that will be the way. If you want it a little drier and more like a little drier, more like a hard consistency, I will say keep it up another 5 minutes. So we're gonna carefully put this in the stove. And no, they're still hot. So what I'm gonna do,
We're gonna wait.
wait a couple minutes. But I'm gonna try to take it out of the mold so we can see. It's very hot. So the molds are really hot. So it's really hot. Yeah. So these are silicone molds, so things don't really stick to it. If you were to use a different type of mold, definitely use a little oil on the edges. And as I said, it's a big container. You use the wax paper.
Yes, we have
This
a brush.
this brush is a great tool. You can even use your fingers. You don't have that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to take it out of the mold. And they stuck a little because I think you need to refrigerate this before unmolding. But I just wanted to show you how it looks.
Yes.
Yeah, they're sticking.
Yes. This one is
they're very
sticky.
soft. Yeah,
This is the most
we need to wait
sticky
to cool them down. So we're gonna give it a few minutes.
Yes.
So one idea, if you don't have one of these molds to make a heart shape, you can use this. Most people have this, right? And then you can unmold this, and when you get the circle, you can cut a little bit to make a heart shape. That will be an idea. Another idea will be using this type of mold. Just take the whole thing out when it's cooled down, so it will keep the shape.
And then you can cut it?
Yes, you can use a cookie cutter. You get like a cookie cutter in the shape of a heart. Yes, and then you cut it into pieces. If that's something you wanted to do for Valentine's. Although it's also perfectly okay if you just cut the traditional squares. All right, so let's try to unmold. And this is a little sooner than I would like to, but I just wanted to show you. Yeah, so it's like a little bit because it's really warm.
Yes. Look at that.
But look at this. Right? And we can separate a little piece. Try it.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can separate two. Okay, yeah, so that will be cooler faster, right? So let's do this. All right.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, you want to blow and try it? Ah! Okay, you want to try it?
Good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Great! So?
Yep. They're delicious.
This is a great recipe and it's quite delicious. And you can go a little heavier on the chocolate chips if you like chocolate a lot, right? It's
yes, I want it. I want it too.
And if you want to even make it a healthier version, even use dark chocolate. This is milk chocolate, but you can use dark chocolate if you like that one too. Less sugar as well.
I love all chocolate. Milk chocolate and dark chocolate are yummy.
You guys now this weekend go ahead and get your black bean brownies. And that concludes our session.